Go.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 3 Tenths Up podcast. And I'm joined with Raz
Hello.
and Toms
What's up?
for this recap of the Monaco Grand Prix after a 1 year hiatus. And we have a lot to cover, so we're just going to get into post qualifying onto the grid race. Of course, big story was Charles LeClerc grabs pole, puts it into the wall with about 30 seconds left, red flags the session. He was on, he might have been on another hot lap as well as everybody else in the field, and prevented them from putting in a really scrappy battle for pole. And that in turn led to his gearbox issue and preventing him from starting the Grand Prix, which kind of had maybe a more used to even at Monaco. So we'll kind of run down the order there. I know Raz, you wanted to touch on a few things with that,
Well,
and then we're
firstly,
just yeah.
I'll address the elephant in the room. You're probably wondering why there's an Aston Martin 413 euro team jacket in place of Greg.
Oh
For
yeah,
those,
yeah. That's
for those of you who don't remember,
elephant in the room.
there's a there's a season long bet going on. Petty, because we're petty, that whenever Sebastian Vettel will beat Lance Stroll overall,
He
and
will.
he will, and if he does, because we're this childish and petty, Greg. For some reason, he hates Sebastian Vettel. So the best way to get him back is to get him to buy the Aston Martin full price, even though they've reduced the price from 450 euros to 413 euros, as you can see. That's excluding shipping, by the way. So, and get him to wear it, and then do a video of him saying how much he is a big fan of Sebastian Vettel. And yeah, so Greg unfortunately can't join us today.
Yeah,
So we've put the Aston Martin slash Seb Vettel jacket in
in
his place.
place.
Yes. So yeah,
A little bit of
that
a little bit of foreshadowing going on here. Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause given what happened today, I was waiting for this. I mean, I don't care who won. Right? This is the actual victory because we're that petty. All right. So now that everyone knows, you know,
We can move on.
yeah, we can move on, and you'll probably be seeing a lot more of that jacket as the season goes on. Right. So, sorry about that, but yeah, that's how we are. Right. Yes. Interestingly, right, starting from qualifying yesterday, Q3. Well, actually, qualifying in general. Um, Everyone knew Monaco was going to be Monaco, and it's all about the Saturday. Technically the race is won, or 75% of the time the race is won on the Saturday, and yeah, everyone was kind of improving on their. Well, they were generally up in the first sector on their second run in Q3 because they do the banker lap in the beginning, and Ferrari were on pace all throughout Thursday and Saturday, and they were just consistently just setting the laps. The car was hooked up. Hamilton was just having one of those off races, and it all culminated to where he finished. And the point about Charles Leclerc, it got made clear by the team that actually it was and also by F1 TV, if you followed the post race show, that it was actually the left hand side drive shaft which stopped them from getting him started on the for his home race. But yet again, for Charles, since 2017, he's been cursed at his home race. So it's it's quite bad for one reason. He did everything right apart from the crash that he had. Because let's be honest, right? The car was brilliant. And at the end of the day, it's a driver's circuit, and he made the mistake, and unfortunately, he paid quite heavily for it, as we saw. Ferrari have confirmed actually that the gearbox is still fine after taking the car apart and everything. And the fact is that the transfer of the essential impact transferred to the other side, because they were concentrating on the right hand side. They basically thought left hand side is going to be fine, because he crashed on the right rear, where it all went to pieces. So it's that's that main thing covered. I don't know if you want to add your 2 cents to that, Toms, but we'll go on.
I think, well, I will, for this moment, for this few minutes, I will refrain from commenting on LeClerc, because I know Andrew has some things to. Andrew is back, and Andrew has some things to say to me, and I have some things to say to him.
Let's get into it now, because I mean,
okay.
Let me just go down. I'm gonna let you have the floor, and then we can have that. Let me just sum up with the qualifying. So kind of threw everything out of pace. Verstappen was looking to get pole. He was up, as well as Bottas and Sainz as well. So you had a real battle for pole, which was kind of cut short. Lando, Pierre, Hamilton, Vettel with 5, 6, 7, and 8. And Perez kind of bringing up the rear in 9th. So kind of set up kind of a mixed grid. And we all know Monaco is a very difficult track to overtake. So you knew everything was going to be on strategy. And it was how many places can you make up, and can you be consistent enough to hold your position? So that really set up the race. And Leclerc was out of it before it even started. So I'm going to let Tom's go into there, and then we'll get into the actual race result.
So
the meat of it, yes, yeah.
The meat
you want me to talk about Charles' performance this weekend?
Yeah, because I think we'll cover that now, because
okay.
We'll get into, because the other stories are going to be, of course, Max, Red Bull, and Mercedes.
Right. Well, first of all, I think that if you put the crash to one side, I think the fact that he wasn't even able to start the race is quite harsh, really. I think he didn't deserve it. Ferrari in general were so good, so consistent, so fast, so on it. It's I'm barely recognizing this team. If you go back 1 or 2 years ago, this team has such a great vibe about them. They have such great drivers. They seem to be getting their house in order. They seem to be making the right decisions. So, and then you come out on one of the biggest stages on Formula One, because I remember as a kid when I got into Formula One, I didn't follow it as closely as I do now. But if there was this one race I had to watch, was Monaco, and all the celebs come out and watch in Monaco. It's always the biggest stage. So for them to show up in the way that they did, absolutely terrific performance by Ferrari in that regard. Charles, same thing. Fantastic lap, brilliant lap. He was on another lap, which I don't know if he would have gotten pole again, but he was on a good lap. And then look, it's racing, it's Monaco, it happens, these kind of things. But once again, Charles, when he has a great opportunity, he has that one moment which screws it up. And this happened in Baku in 2019. This happened last year in Austria, I think the second Austria race, where he just bulldozes right into Seb at the start. This happened, where else? This happened in Turkey last year, when he was fighting for the position for the podium at the very last second, and then he makes a mistake, and then Seb, of all people, ends up getting that podium. And it's just one of those moments, once again, where he is fantastic, he's brilliant, but there's that one moment where you have to just nail it. You have to be...
So basically, what you're saying is he chokes on the moment that
I wouldn't do choke. I mean, it's a hard
kind of.
word. All right. He doesn't. I don't think he always handles the pressure moments as well as he should. I think he's extremely good in getting himself into that moment to deliver, but once it's time to deliver, he many times has been underwhelming. There's been times when he's been absolutely brilliant. I think if you look at his season so far, it's been two P6s, two P4s. He has been absolutely phenomenal. And I will say this in terms of his racing traits. Like if you talk about pure raw pace, what he can extract from a package, some people may be surprised by this, but honestly, the comparison that I bring with Charles in terms of raw pace is Ayrton Senna-esque. It's the way he can put the speed from a car that's not supposed to be fast. The way it reminds me of how Senna was able to extract it from a Tolman or from the early days Lotus. Like what he did with Sauber, what he did last year with that trash-ass Ferrari was brilliant. But again, that doesn't exclude from the fact that he sometimes underperforms in these pressure situations, and he did it again this weekend, which probably cost him the race victory and probably cost Ferrari a double podium, which is okay. It's one race, shit happens, I get it, but it's not good enough, is it?
No,
So
not at this level. No, not at this level.
and this is my grab. And then a couple of podcasts ago, I mentioned Lando being better than him. Lando being better in precisely these kind of situations. Lando was under pressure from Perez for the last 20 laps today, and he held on. He got this second podium in 5 races. This is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I compare these two lads. So go ahead, Andrew. I know you wanna annihilate me now, but these are my thoughts.
As funny as it is, he kind of really put the ball more in your court with Monaco.
Yeah.
And I will give you that. And we talked about it before on the podcast or before we started recording. I don't think maybe we're all insane, but I don't think we bring out a point that's not feasible. Like, I'm not saying I agree with you in a lot of senses, and there's other points that I just don't. But I can always see where you're coming from. It's not so out of left field that
it's not a conspiracy or some favoritism or some partisan. It's not even partisan bias. I mean,
right?
Because I mean, yes, I get it. People have their favorites. I mean. Look at Greg, for example. His favorite is Sebastian Vettel. But I'm gonna keep digging that in. But yeah, I get it. Because people are opinionated on the internet. But sorry.
But we can back it up with facts, and I can back my argument up with something that I see.
No, and I do realize that the one thing I will say is it's sports, so you can put as many stats and results and stuff into it. But when you get into sports, in a sense, and I know Tom's is a huge sports fan in general as well, so am I. You can't always just look at stats and results, and there is favoritism that goes on, and he's exactly right within terms of the comparison to Senna. I'm not saying he's Senna gonna be Senna. I don't.
Me neither.
It's so early to tell.
Yeah.
But you can have that passion. There's something about a driver that kind of has this, this underlining talent that you just can't bring in. It's like it's the it factor. And that's what I think LeClerc has. And because he is so, I guess, flamboyant in terms of you're going to get, when he's at his peak, no one is going to beat him.
Yeah.
But you do have this flip side that you're going to have.
It just goes badly wrong.
Yeah, you're going to have the. But I will take that rather than having someone just extremely consistent.
Yeah.
That let me admit to it.
Yeah.
So extremely consistent. But I don't know. The whole thing, I will always take Senna over Prost. Now, is Prost probably the better driver in terms of scope and in terms of results and everything? Yes, the results say so.
Well, but not only the results, but the fact that he's still alive kind of proves something. Right? Sorry, I had to go dark.
That was dark.
No, that's bullshit. But
I'm sorry everyone, but I just had to get that in there.
The whole thing is, is that I think Senna was the better driver because on that day, there was no one going to be. I don't care if Prost is at his best. When Senna was at his, he's not beating him. And that's what I feel like LeClerc is. That he has he has an it factor from it. He is very.
Yeah. Sorry.
Just quickly, but Andrew, and I get what you're saying, and I think you're totally right. At the same time, the question is whether or not sometimes he goes over the top. The question is how many times. No, but how many times?
Yes,
and what if this was a season where Ferrari is going for a championship and Verstappen is, for example, his rival, and he just drops 25 points to him?
But we think of this. I think we think of this really too early. He's been in what, 4 years now?
This is his fourth year.
Yeah.
Lando's been in what? Now this is his third.
Yes.
Max is what? 8, 7,
yeah. 6, 7. Yeah.
6, 7. Yeah.
How old are they?
They're younger than us, mate. Right.
They're getting to the point that the experience is. It's like what? Leclerc's 23, Lando's 21.
Yes.
You have to come and say that they accelerate so fast. And my whole argument is Lando better than LeClerc? And I say, one, I think it's very early to tell that. I think Lando's had a good season, but Lando has not also been at the top performing in a championship, potentially championship winning car like LeClerc has. And look what LeClerc was able to do with Alpha and what he was able to do last year with that Ferrari, for me, speaks volumes ahead of what Lando can do in a midfield competitive car.
Lando is featuring the championship.
I get that. But what his results of what he's bringing in when the car is shit and when they're neck and neck competing right now, I can't go and say that Lando's going to be that much better. Doesn't bode well. He's out of the race and Lando's got a podium. And I think Lando's doing fantastic. And that brings into our other thing with, what we'll eventually get into with Ricardo. But I just think that what we do now is drivers are only as good as their last race. That's a
given.
Norm in Formula One. But I think what we do is we try to find an answer for why someone's not performing and saying someone's better very quickly when we have drivers that are still so young. And go ahead.
But fourth year, third year, I don't think you're too young anymore. You're starting to get there, I think. But
you're not supposed to look at the age itself, the actual biological age of the driver. You're supposed to look at it in terms of
but in terms of experience.
Yeah,
but
in terms of experience,
too.
Max Verstappen is the most experienced out of the lot of them. Let's be honest, right? Of them three, you've got Charles, you've got Lando, and you've got Max, and you could throw Carlos in there as well.
My whole thing is you had more time in theater series decades ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have less time in theater series, and they're finding it all out at the top tier. So I think you need to be giving them 5 years regardless of what they have. So I think when you come in and there's a driver that is young and is still making mistakes, he wasn't able to make those mistakes at 21 years old in F3 because he's in Formula One at 18.
Not only that.
Go ahead, Raz.
Yeah, not only that, but also back in the good old days, right? Usually drivers never came into top teams instantly, right? They usually spent at least the first couple of years in a mid to lower midfield team or a backmarker team, like Alonso, for example, like Michael Schumacher. Look at
Felipe
Mick.
Massa.
Like Mick and Massa and all that. They got all their mistakes and crap out the way in those, character building cars, like what Mick and Mazepin are doing right now. And to be honest, right, later on down the line, they would be the benefactors of it because they won't be dropping points because of silly mistakes like this over the course of a championship. And it's not like let's take for example Benetton / Renault, okay, the Enstone team. They haven't always been in championship contentions. They've always crept up to it, they've been midfield or thereabouts, and then they usually get up to third in the championship, and then once they're at third in the championship, boom, they go for the championship because their drivers are well versed and they've basically got all their crap out of the system and got the knowledge to go with the racing as to right, okay, I could go all out now and then I have to hold back a bit later and all that stuff and just play the percentages.
The one thing I just want to end on, and we got a lot to cover, so I don't want to sit here and get bogged down on this.
Yeah, no.
But the one thing that I wanted to say to the response to Tom's for the podcast back and all this other stuff is, as a personality, personally, I would rather watch LeClerc than Norris because of that factor, that it factor that I think he possesses, and two. I think that's a personal preference, but also I think it is, we always do this, that we go very quickly on trying to find this guy's better than this guy better than this guy so quickly. And we did it too, like a podcast two ago on Perez, and now he's having a reinsurgence, and now it looks like Ricardo's on the downhill. We're 5 races in. It's what makes content, but it's kind of like, we're very premature to try to put an answer to something that's not there. Now, if we go down the line, the rest of the season, and LeClerc puts in the wall 2 more times on a competitive race,
situation,
and Norris is getting consistent podiums over that, then you kind of have to see, okay, they're in a very similar car, very similar situation right now, and Norris is starting to perform better. That's all I'm going to say. And I think Tom's point is great. I really think Tom's point is great because I think you need to have that sort of criticism for a driver.
I mean, constructive criticism. The constructive criticism is part of everything because you've got to look at apart from your biases and everything else, you've got to look at what happened, and that's why we do these review podcasts, and we could clearly see what happened as to okay, let's be honest, right? If it was France, for example, right, and Charles was on pole. I'm using France as a very extreme example because we all know that's the complete polar opposite of Monaco with the miles of runoff that you've got there, right? If it was France, right, and it came down to the same sort of France is in a couple of races anyway, so we'll find out then. But joking aside, if it was in France and this shit happened in France, in terms of Leclerc was everyone done their third qualifying lap, first qualifying lap, and then they were going for their second run in Q3, okay, and everyone was speeding up. Obviously, then they'll have to enforce track limits because that's there's walls and everything like that. But if it was France, do you see any of these drivers that we mentioned who will cock it up more effectively? Is what I'm saying.
Well, I just mentioned. I just mentioned.
Do you see this happening again? Essentially, is what I'm saying. Is how?
Oh, for sure. I think it's stupid to say not so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's stupid to say not so. I think it's stupid to say that Norris is not going to have these issues when he's fighting with, if he's sitting here fighting with Carlos in Singapore. I think it's idiotic to say that they're all competitive.
Yeah,
I
but
would
at the
rather
end
have.
Sorry, no, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, who finishes ahead in the championship by who makes the least amount of mistakes over the course of a championship.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Raz.
That's the fact.
But this is my point. But this is precisely my point. If you go back in 17 and 18 and you look at Lewis's and Seb's battle, we can talk about Germany 2018. We can talk about Singapore 2017. All of that stuff we can talk about. But if you put that aside, what it came down to more than anything was the fact that Seb was having these great moments where he would win and he would dominate. and Lewis would be somewhere like Seb would have these drop downs of P6, P7, P8, or DNFs where Lewis would win or get P2, and Lewis ultimately won both of those years due to his consistency. I absolutely agree with Andrew with the fact that in terms of raw pace, in terms of his peak point, Leclerc is better than Norris. I agree with that. The problem is if he's going to have too many of those things, and Norris keeps getting P5, P4, P3. What matters at the end is the championship, and that's where Norris is better right now.
And that's what you have to see. Is that able to be adapted? Is he going to be able to make that sort of change?
He's going to need to rein it in, essentially.
Because if he can, and just how Max did.
Yes.
Max has reined it in, and look where it's putting himself.
And I will want to
He's
talk
actually
about
leading
Max.
the fucking championship.
And I want to talk about that.
And let's just do it.
Yeah, let's move on to that. Yeah.
So let's go to Max. Wins the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time. He leads the championship for the first time in his career, and Red Bull leads the Constructors' Championship by a single point.
First time since 2013. So it's the first time in the hybrid era, essentially.
Yeah. Complete change in the championship. This is a pivotal point here.
Can I just interrupt there, because I saw a tweet. It's like, okay, Red Bull are now leading the championship. They're genuinely, part of the championship. What if they win, knowing that Honda is quitting at the end of the year? Ooh, it's basically a Brawn, but a year earlier, right?
That's a question you have to pose to Honda more than Red Bull. That's Honda's decision.
That would be the massive. That would be the biggest, kick in the nuts to yourself. Ever. Right. So sorry, I just had to get that across.
Can I talk about Max a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
I want to make a point about Max, and if I go on for too long, just shut me the fuck up. But I have a point. I have a little preface that I want to talk about before I make my point about today's race with regards to Max. I want to go back to 2018 Monaco race weekend, and to me that was the most pivotal moment in Max's whole career. For those who don't remember, it was a race weekend where Daniel Ricciardo, his teammate at the time, got pole position, dominated the race, nursing a reliability issue, a technical issue, won the race. That was Ricciardo's second race win out of the 6 races up until that point of the season. And Max binned it in the wall, I think, in qualifying. That set him back for the race.
Same corner as Leclerc, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang on. That was 2017.
That was 18.
17.
He crashed 2 times. Yeah. One was in 16, the other one was in 18. But the 18 one was more pivotal because you had the diametric on both sides of the garage, and so that crash sets him back. And for the race, and Ricciardo is jumping into the pool and Max is left there just agonizing in his motorhome. For me, that was I mentioned this because at that time Max still had this reputation of going for aggressive moves that put himself and drivers around him in danger.
The moving under the braking.
There was the sense that
Kimi went off, remember?
Yes, there was the sense that he was mistake prone. There was the sense that he might end up being as one of those guys who has tremendous amount of potential, but is never able to put it together apart from 1 or 2 races throughout the season. I think, well, maybe this guy is just massively overhyped. And so from that point on, there was 1 or 2 ways in which Max's career would go. Either he sorts it out, or he just falters completely. And the worst was the one in Canada. And I don't think he got a podium there. But he was consistently better than Ricciardo in that weekend. He was starting to reel it in, step by step, he was getting up there. And then I think the next weekend or the one after that, he had that brilliant, unexpected victory in Austria. And I have said this on the years ago, and I still, ever since Canada 2018, Max has been the best driver on. He, from that low point of 2018 Monaco, he's gone from strength to strength, improved. His aggression is now controlled aggression. He's better at managing his tires, better at managing the pace out front. He's always been great at wet races. He can win at the last second, as he showed in 2018 Austria. He can win big, as he's shown in other races. And going back with this preface, going back to the day, full circle now. 3 years later, Max wins the Monaco Grand Prix, and for the first time is world championship leader, putting an end to Mercedes' reign at the top. Now, that doesn't mean that Mercedes or Lewis are not going
No,
to
they're
win
gonna
this
come
year,
back fighting.
but it illustrates how. Yes, but this is a point about how he's come back and how he sorted out from the lowest point of his career. He is going up and making a case that he can beat one of the greatest drivers of all time. The way how he went from that low point to where he is now is a fascinating story, and I wanted to bring that up. So go ahead, guys.
From my point of view, I can't agree. I can't disagree with you there, Tom's. Purely because, like you said, he has grown up, and today showed a very matured and controlled drive by Max. I mean, yeah, he did get a bit too much wheel spin at the start of the of the race, and but then as soon as he got that under control, that's it. He drove to what he had to drive to, controlled the tires, controlled the pace. He knew he had like total freedom. And then when Carlos was catching up, I was actually following on the pit lane radio channel as well. He was totally managing that 3 second gap. That 3.5 second gap, whatever it was. And weirdly for a race at Monaco, there was no safety car. Absolutely none.
No yellow
not even
flags.
yellow flags.
No
Right?
yellow flags.
Everyone. Okay, fine. All the Mazepin memes and all that shit. Right? He's gonna. The what was the memes? He was gonna end it in the swimming pool or on the seafront and all that stuff. And Haas modifications and the marshals are in the. Nothing. Nothing happened. Right? It was just purely about driver talent. And to be honest, right? I'm genuinely surprised that actually nothing happened, and at the same time, it was so well controlled. Not even edge of a front wing end plate was missing, right? So otherwise, how these cars are so bloody sensitive. It's like, Lewis lost. Usually Mercedes come up with an excuse as to why Lewis's pace dropped and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
They could even come up
Yeah.
with that, right? With the whole, he took the curb too aggressively, so one of the front wing end plate strakes or the whatever aero appendage there is, right? No matter how small it is, apparently it cost him all the lap time and blah de blah.
Yeah, it cost him 5/10 a lap, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Half a second a lap for going over a curb, right? It's like, well, whose fault is that, right? That kind of thing. There was none of those just, bullshit excuses, as I like to call them, because, okay, fine, yes, the cars are designed to work around all those little appendages and everything like that. Absolutely nothing. And this track was purely about driving it, and Max drove it as he should, metronomically. Pit stops were perfect, Red Bull, we'll jump onto that later.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It was just well managed.
It was absolutely flawless drive. He didn't even bother going for the fastest lap, even though it was mentioned to him on the pit lane radio towards the end. He did ask his race engineer, it's like, can I go for? Is it worth going for the fastest lap? And he was like, nah, Hamilton's got it. It's a 1:12, but he's down in 7th place. And then Max like, okay, all right, no problems then, that kind of thing.
There's no need to take that risk.
Yeah, for that one extra point, and that kind of thing. It's like, dude, you're fine. You've got a 4-point. It's like, instead of having a 5-point lead, he's now got a 4-point lead. Okay.
Which means absolutely nothing after 5 races anyway.
Exactly, right? It's like that kind of thing. Yeah, maybe when it gets to the end of the season, that 1 point will count for something.
I doubt
We don't
it.
know. We don't know. And let's not be honest. Let's be honest, sorry. Let's not forget, we could still have a few more races potentially cancelled. Australia apparently is being cancelled because the Australian government have said no one is allowed into the country until 2022. You got Brazil. That might not happen, and a few other races littered around the place. So maybe that 1 point might matter, right? But as of just doing the race, taking it race by race, Max did brilliantly, right?
Yeah.
Just did it, did
Andrew?
what he was supposed to. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree with Tom's, and I mean, it's kind of it. Even we can even loop it back, to the beginning of the podcast with Norris and with LeClerc, but because it's the same sort of topic that he came around and to have the maturity where he was, and just have that. I don't know, 4 years ago, Matt, able to put in that qualifying lap. I'm sure you guys have heard the radio. He's incredibly infuriated. But to just channel that and say, look, I need to get into turn one. I need to cut off, after Leclerc's not starting, I need to cut off Bottas. I need to control the lead. If I do this, manage the pace, it's mine to go. And to just have that discipline to put all those into play and then win, and know that he's got to do all this just to have some sort of, stranglehold on the championship this early and to start controlling his fate. That's the sign of a champion. And
not only that, remember on the starting of the grid, he actually had his car pointed to the right.
He had everything.
He was that determined. He knew that.
He knew what was going to happen, and he knew that
he could win the race.
Was on a slightly better side of the track, and he needed to get to the inside.
Yep.
So it's really awesome to see when not even just a driver, but as a person starts to put it all together. And this is what it starts to see, that we're starting to see Max become what he was hyped up to be right before our eyes this season.
Yeah. And not only that, the other thing is, here's the irony of it all. You know that old saying that a race is never won in the first corner of the first lap?
It is in Monaco.
Exactly. The one race where that doesn't apply. You can say, that's literally because that's what happened. He won the race.
But I just remember so many times of that Red Bull into the barriers. His Red Bull into the barriers.
Yeah, oh god, 2016.
You have like a montage slideshow of him putting that car into the barriers. For him to just have it to be flawless.
I was just remembering the year. Was it 20? No, it was 2015 or
16.
16 when he was overtaking everyone, and then he into Sandoval. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think it was with Grosjean or someone.
No, that was 15. It was 15.
That was 15.
That was 15 in the Toro Rosso, right?
Which he put it up into the wall on top of the hill. He's had the whole the swimming pool section, everything. He's had that there. He's had so many instances
everywhere around that track. He's
and it's built him up, and that's what's awesome to see, that he is not afraid of that circuit where you would have other drivers be a lot more timid.
By the way, that 2015 crash led to Nico's unexpected victory in that race, so that wasn't that bad. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
I've lost the race, haven't I, guys?
And
we'll get on to him later. All right.
Red Bull, in the sense, just did what Mercedes couldn't do today, and it's completely flopped in terms of strategy. They made the right call. Perez made up the right places. I mean, Perez, he's on fourth.
Perez, that was his best race of the season.
He turned up. He actually turned up.
And it was great to see that he was able to be that second driver that was able to put it up, and to put 5 places in Monaco like that with this type of race.
Imagine if he got that podium. That 1 point gap that Mercedes have now. Oh, sorry, Red Bull have to Mercedes now would have been increased by another 2 points?
4.
4 is it?
Yeah.
4
no, so 3 points. So there will be 4 point lead now. Yeah,
exactly. There will be a 4 point lead in both championships. All right, that would have been a hammer blow. Right? I mean, that for Mercedes,
but he showed up for what he had to do. Yeah. And I think that, and I mean, starting at 9th and then becoming P4 like that, I think it's just Red Bull had the race that Mercedes did a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and not only that, but also it goes back to the point about what all these drivers who changed, especially Perez, he even said it himself, who changed teams for this year, they all said, rate us after 5 races, right? Mm-hmm. Because let's be honest, 1 day of testing, a complete new environment.
It's like 3 races.
1 day of testing is nothing, right? The only reason why Carlos has been so good is because Ferrari have their own test track, right?
Yeah.
They got
He's able to have that time.
no, and they're just using a 2-3 year old car, right? Just for him to get used to, scenarios. They could. It's not just about jumping in the simulator. It's actually having a physical car to deal with around a track where let's be honest, temperature changes day to day.
But you still have to put it into play.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why Carlos was able. This is the only advantage Carlos has over the other drivers that move.
There is another advantage, Raz. There's another advantage. Not only that, but the fact that he's been in 4 teams in 6 years. He's used to moving around, and he's always been great at adapting.
Yeah.
But
But he's got an added edge with Ferrari. The fact that they've
Absolutely.
actually got their own in literally their backyard. I mean, I've been down to Fiorano. I've seen the track itself. And
it's a cool track, actually.
It is a brilliant track, right? But it's like it's not cheating, right? They're just using a 2-year-old car, which is completely legal because it's like Ferrari have that clientele program whereby rich people who could afford it buy old Ferrari Formula One cars, and they have those Ferrari Formula One days. Same shit, right? But it's done with more of a sort of intent rather than just dicking around Spa, right? Because you've got nothing better to do with your money. But yeah, Carlos's key, the reason why he's been able to get so consistent so quickly, apart from being able to be so adaptable, was Ferrari have spent a lot of effort, getting him to have that environment for him to stabilize himself and assert himself within the team and make sure the guys know how to deal with him. He knows how to deal with the guys, and all that stuff. So
he was brilliant today.
He was.
And I want to wrap. I wanted to go kind of like, I don't know, linear wise down the order kind of deal. But I'm just going to wrap it all together.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think we can sit here talking about one sort of team topic and everything. We'll end on Mercedes. But what I want to put on now, instead of just going down the order, is Sainz, Norris, Perez, Vettel, Gasly. Sainz, Norris. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. And then you have Hamilton, Stroll, Ocon, and Giovinazzi. From 2 to 6, you have a driver of the day scenario. And fine, put Max in there. He won he had an absolute awesome Vettel with one of his best drives of the last couple of seasons.
Well, Vettel was consistent in qualifying. He consistently, the funny thing was he basically did what the German football team have been doing when they go to World Cup qualifiers and everything like that. They scrape through, but then on the day they actually deliver, right? They scrape through the group stages.
And he did that with,
and he was very efficient about how he did it. Yeah.
The team with Vettel picking up 10 and Stroll picking up another 4 in P8. Right. Aston Martin has showed at Monaco, no less.
Yeah, they've actually turned up, of all places, Yeah. Oh, speaking of Aston Martin and Monaco and James Bond, did you see that thing with Ted Kravitz trying to get in as many James Bond titles in his interview with Seb Vettel, and then Seb obviously cottoned onto it, and he was like, "Oh right, okay, yeah." Next thing you know, you're gonna say "License to Kill" or something like that, and it's like, "Gee, Seb, that lap must have scared the living daylights out of so and so," and he was just getting the titles in there. But joking aside, Seb, and this is actually what the Silverstone outfit is good at. Getting these strategies with the overcut, because it was just brilliant. And also, wasn't it Lance Stroll who actually? Yeah, Stroll was the one who started on the alternate strategy.
On the cards, yes.
Yes, exactly. And he went ultra long, right? It was literally him and Tsunoda who were the last 2 to pit, right? So he built up enough of. Yeah.
Can I also say how massive of an in-lap Pierre Gasly pulled off to keep Hamilton behind. That was absolutely terrific. And okay, Pierre will be kind of disappointed he didn't get P5, but P6, keeping Hamilton behind all the time, dude. This was also one of his. He was again fourth straight race in the points.
I'm sure that experience that he had with Carlos Sainz and Monza last year taught him how to do that. Think about it, because remember that how he won his first Grand Prix. It was
that was terrific.
Yeah. So and having a
Gasly was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch. And then I want to praise more what Tom said because I agree 200%. And then you had Norris completely smashing Ricciardo as much as I don't like it. Completely smashing what he did all weekend.
Lapped him.
And put it on a podium. Yes. I mean, so basically what I want to ask is who is your driver of the day? Because I mean, I could say it's anybody.
All of them in it to some degree,
I'll go first if we do this.
Yeah.
Because I just think that that whole thing we could go and break down the team's accomplishments and everything, but from the entire top 10, you have winners. This was a great Grand Prix for a lot of people, and this is what a lot of teams needed.
Yeah. And apart from the salty, keyboard warriors that we always deal with, if you look at it as a spectacle, this race delivered, right? Even though there was there was no safety cars, no yellow flags, no incidents as such. We could even go far back down the grid as the cheeky little overtake between Mick Schumacher and Mazepin. He literally did what Michael Schumacher did at that same corner in 1998 against Alexander Wurz, right? And if you don't believe me, you can look it up on YouTube. It's there, right? He basically, snuck it in, and Brundle even alluded to it in the commentary as well. It's like, that's his dad. That's his dad. That's what he was saying. But there was. Especially the top 10. I mean, yeah, fine. Everyone from P11 downwards, they didn't really do much because they were just kind of floating around in the same place. But in the top 10, especially the Gasly, Vettel, and Hamilton, and Perez, if you throw them, all four of them in terms of what happened around the pit stops, right? That was just...
Who is your driver of the day then?
Well, as this is a driver's circuit, which is what I was going to get to, I have to say it's a toss-up between Gasly and Vettel, because even though Vettel was he's still a bit, that Aston Martin isn't really 100%, but even though they turned up, right? Well, especially with Vettel, he's still not 100%. He still needs to improve. He knows that. It was a tough call, but I can't decide. Gasly with all the pressure that he had, right? And like you're saying, I can't. But if for me, just to piss off Greg, right, I'd say Vettel. Right?
Andrew, what about you?
As much as Vettel got the extra 2 points. And I think that Aston Martin is worse.
He's genuinely worse
than the AlphaTauri. I think Gasly hands down, and the only reason being is he kept Hamilton behind for 40 laps, 30 something laps, and the AlphaTauri, yes, is Monaco, yes, is difficult to overtake. But this is a 7-time world champion in a Mercedes, and to just be that consistent with every single corner, and don't have lockups, keep the car wide, keep focused, everything. And I mean, it wasn't like Hamilton was sitting 5 seconds behind. For the majority of the time, he was within a second, 2 seconds here, making the lunge, making the push, trying to put him in.
The only time he dropped back was purely because he wanted the point,
because it was going to be overheating and everything.
No. He wanted the glory lap, innit?
The fastest lap. Yeah, but I mean, exactly. Even in the early stint, he didn't push for that because he had to back off. He couldn't overtake Gasly. And I think the driver that we're seeing now in Gasly is nothing compared to a different driver. I am totally on the board the whole Gasly bandwagon. I think it's phenomenal, and I loved his drive today.
But that's kind of similar to what we talked about, the resurgence of Max, the communal for Max it was, let's say, growing up. For Gasly, it's been, for lack of a better word, resurrection, if you will.
Or redemption. Let's be honest. His redemption.
Yeah.
You know,
because
ever since
his career was.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be right in the mud. He was never supposed to be.
He was going to lose it. He was at the really a big risk to lose the seat.
Yes, and not F1. Only that, and then he gets dropped down in Spa. He has to witness the death of his friend. And then he has to keep fighting. Then he gets that podium in Brazil. Then he, gets a pretty good
against
season.
Lewis Hamilton of all
against
people.
Lewis again. Like, he has Lewis's number. God damn it!
Yeah, but it's Gasly, Lewis Hamilton.
But
okay, so what you were saying is, in the next race, right? Gasly will be fighting off Lewis Hamilton again.
Is Gasly better than Hamilton?
Yes, Gasly is better than him. Yeah, no. I'm not going there yet.
Sorry, I'm using fanboy logic. I'm using fanboy logic, because there's nothing better than fanboy logic.
It's absolutely fantastic.
I am a massive, like I've said, like, two favorite drivers on the grid for me are Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly. And to watch Pierre race like this, to watch Carlos killing it with Ferrari, another podium in his career, it's so good that he gets his first podium with Ferrari so early on. It just cools the pressure a little bit. It's very important that he got it right now. And it's great to watch. Both of my guys just doing great, and Max leading the championship. This was such an enjoyable Sunday. Let me tell you.
It was the perfect race for F1 nerds.
Yes.
It was a perfect race for F1 nerds. And then, the thing is, it was such a feel. Besides, like, 3 people. Well, hold on. Besides 4 people, this was probably and then just an amazing weekend. I mean, of course, LeClerc, both the Mercedes drivers, and Ricciardo. Besides that, this is one of the best feel-good races for a lot of teams and people. And it was just awesome to see. And it all comes because Mercedes, which I want to get to next, completely dropped the ball. One, not their fault. And 2, Lewis not even showing. Yeah, we'll go. First.
What I was going to say is, like, this whole thing about the feel-good thing, right? I was obviously watching it and, on WhatsApp with my mates and everything like that. And we literally couldn't believe this was happening, I mean, we were like, nah, surely Hamilton will get a lucky red flag. Consider what happened at Imola. He was a lap down. You all thought he was going to be down and out. He was in the fucking gravel, right? We thought, no way could he, finish on the podium.
Yeah.
He ended up on the bloody podium, right? So that's why we were like, no, Gasly, come on, half of us were rooting for Gasly to keep him there in P7, right? And then, to add more insult to injury was all the team radios from Hamilton bitching and everything. It's like, I can't believe this is happening. And we're like, we can't believe this is happening, right?
And Bottas having that the worst.
Sorry, so as we use that as a segue onto Mercedes and what happened to him, I'll let you continue. But yeah.
Well, yeah, and then you have. Well, I'm just continuing on that. Like, Bottas has the worst pit stop, except for the last recent years, except for Ricciardo's tire fiasco. Has to be forced to retire.
Basically, his right front tire, right, or right front wheel, went on strike. It was just like, no, I'm not getting. It went all, It went,
and that's nothing to do with the team. That is bad luck having a cross-threaded tire, and that's it. But to have this all just fall apart, where it always seems to go Mercedes' way. Like, Imola's like, okay, the F1 gods, here we go. We're gonna give it to Hamilton. We're gonna do all this. But
Hamilton's more lucky than he is talented at especially at Imola, for example. He was more lucky.
I agree with that.
Yeah, no, he's got more luck than he's got talent. I'm not denying he's got talent, right? But he's got twice as much luck, if you know what I mean. It's like, if his talent is 100, right, he's got 200 luck, essentially, is what I'm saying. But yeah, today it was just like, what happened? And have you noticed, I don't know if you've seen this before or not, but usually cross-threaded wheel nut is always when you're putting the wheel on, think about it, right? I have never seen a cross-threaded wheel nut not, you know,
Well, did that
no,
happen when they?
well, I don't know, but no, because what happened was obviously later on, I did watch the post-race coverage, and they said that essentially the wheel nut had, because it was cross-threaded and because of the heat and everything like that, it kind of like fused
Welded?
itself. Yeah,
Kind of welded to
it
the.
kind of
Okay.
welded itself on to the front axle. So that's why they couldn't get off. That's why they were spinning the gun, the air
You
gun. And
saw just the shards on one of
yeah,
the
and
replay, and it was
so basically, it wasn't just a cross-threaded wheel nut. It was like
a
cross,
melted.
yeah, and then because obviously the heat transfer from the brakes, right, heated it up, and that whole front, because it gets really hot there, and that kind of thing, and that obviously melted it. And those nuts are made out of some exotic material like magnesium or something like that, which, let's be honest, the temperature tolerance at those temperatures, it will easily fuse itself to, if
Right.
it's not in properly. So yeah, that's the first time I've seen a wheel. Usually it's a sticky wheel on,
Yeah.
not a sticky wheel
Go
off.
off.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, that's just weird.
Can I make again? I have to kind of
Please.
feeling kind of philosophical today, but again, I have to go on these rants or whatever, these Tom's tangents, as Andrew likes to call them. One thing I will point out, and this is not, I don't want to come off as disrespectful or anything like that, but over the last few weeks, I have heard way too much, and I mean way too much from Toto Wolff.
Oh God.
I have
Oh
heard,
God.
I have had to listen. I think it was the Portuguese weekend where the first, when he was talking about how oh, this new Red Bull powertrains thing is actually a segue for Volkswagen to come in and Red Bull becoming a part of that team. Then
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
Then he's talking about oh, how there are lottery numbers offered by Red Bull to Mercedes guys to join this new project of Red Bulls. Then he's now talking about these flexi wings or whatever. And I remember vividly
Well, do you see what he said just today about the
No.
whole red flag lap being deleted?
What did he say? What did he say?
Because of what happened yesterday, right?
Yes.
With Charles, and then he set his time, and then because he's fueling he's got a tinfoil hat on more of the time
is.
than
Yes.
than the internet fanboys that we deal with. I mean, it's ridiculous what he was What he was basically suggesting was, and remember, for 80 years or however long F1's been going on for, we've always raced around Monaco. We've always had problems like this, because it's Monaco, right? Let's not forget, these cars are the widest and the biggest and the fattest F1 cars to exist, right?
Ever. By far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
By far. They're literally a whole meter and a half longer, and all the rest of it. But he suggested, right, and this really got me like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Right? He suggested that they should delete all lap times, right, just as a red flag happens in qualifying. Yeah,
What?
because guess what? His precious princess didn't get a lap in, right? The reason why you have two.
No one got
but
a
here's
lap
the thing.
in.
The reason why you have two laps in Q3, you got enough time for two laps, all right? Unless you long fill, you could do like a couple of laps or whatever. But genuinely speaking, you got enough time for two hot laps. One's called a banker lap for a reason. There could be bad weather, right? There could be a red flag, right? If for example, right, it was bad weather, and because of bad weather, they had to red flag the session, right? What he's suggesting is that everyone who set a lap time before the red flag came out, their lap times should be deleted.
Oh my god.
Or
No,
essentially whoever caused the red flag, their lap time should be. Why? They've been penalized enough, right? It's like, I mean, LeClerc literally DNS'd, right?
Getting back
And
to
he
my
also,
point.
the other thing that he did was about the Red Bull thing and stealing engineers and everything like that. he said that apparently Andy Cowell of Mercedes HPP had
Yes.
signed up with Red Bull, right? And then Christian Horner saying like, "Oh, that's news to me. I didn't know, right? We didn't sign him."
No, but this is the thing, and I think it was the Portuguese weekend where I think the suggestion was thrown out by Toto Wolff that Volkswagen might be in the background with this project, and then it was also the weekend where Christian Horner was one of the featured guys on Sky panel. You know how Sky interview these team principals every weekend. They pick a different one every weekend.
FP sessions or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And they interviewed, asked a couple of questions, and I think Crofty asked him like, so what about the whole Volkswagen thing? Toto said this and that and the other, and what Christian Horner said is something that I want to say right now is like Toto just needs to focus on his own team. Because what happened today with all of this shenanigans, all of the things he said. Look, I understand these mind games and I understand that the fight outside the track is just as important as the fight inside or on the track. I get all of that. But this is all happening. I've never heard so much from Toto Wolff ever in my life. He's just chatting, and this is coinciding with the time frame where Mercedes have lost both championship leads for the first time in 3 years. If that is not a message directed to you by the racing gods that you should start focusing on your team's performance, then I don't know what will. And
he's deflecting. What he's doing is deflecting.
And Raz, and on that point about the pit stop, I get that this was a freak accident. It sometimes shit happens, and it's part of Formula One.
Yeah.
This is not the first time Mercedes have had pit stop issues. They've had them all season.
Yeah.
So
this is just to
I'm just
cover
fed up with that.
Yeah, no, and just to cover your point about Mercedes, right? Because they haven't had that many proper like Ferrari moments of late, with 27, they've been so well oiled and everything like that. When they have a cock up, they have a bad cock up, right? As we saw this weekend, with
Can I also add, please? I'm sorry, Raz. Just another quick point. You know how Mercedes always are talking about, oh, we win together, we lose together. We never blame.
Here we go.
We never blame the people. We always blame the problem, and I like that, and I think it's great. Yeah. But here's
that bullshit about the two side pods from Spain 2016. It's like, oh, we use this as a reminder.
I don't want to talk about that.
Oh yeah. Oh no, but whole holier than thou bollocks, right? And that kind of thing.
But here's the thing, though. This is what I'm really interested in. This whole philosophy that I have within the team. It's not extremely easy, but it's very easy to live by these sort of principles. When you win the constructors by 300 points, when you wrap up the championship with 5 races to go, basically by the summer break, let's be honest. It's very easy to do it when you're winning.
Yeah, they talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk, really.
Let's say if the chips are down and if everything goes, tits up in Brazil and they actually lose the championship, or like they arrive at Suzuka or Kota being down 70 points in the constructors and Max is like 37 ahead in the drivers' championship. Let's see how tolerant and how we win, we lose together they are.
That whole harmony thing. Yeah. No, and this is what really annoys me as well, right? Because guess who's the biggest mouthpiece for this whole we win together, we lose together is? It's
the guy who was crying all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it's okay when we win together, but it's like, okay, now it's your turn to lose. Can you lose together? It's like, then he just can't. You see it. He is a sore loser. Let's be honest, right? He says, oh, I'm a sore loser. I'm not going to, but you don't have to get salty about it. Fine. You don't, I mean, the fact that he's still not got over Nico Rosberg, right? It says everything.
Andrew, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm just going to cap it off that it's so hard at the top. I feel so bad for them.
Oh, God. No. Oh, no.
I feel having Mercedes dominance for the past 7 years, I really feel for them. Get out of here. I don't care. And that's what we're going to end on. I have who's like everybody else has for the past decade. I don't. It's fine by me.
I'm enjoying this shit, honestly.
I just, he's drinking. I don't know. He's having dinner and drinks way too much with Marco and Christian, or
Is
whatever
this-
they're
sorry,
drinking.
is
He's
this-
just he's just whining so much. Toto's just like gone off the whole, Marco and Christian thing. It's like they need their own television show. That's
Anyways.
the spin-off to DTS.
Exactly. All right. So yeah.
So that was Monaco. I'm sure we could have done a lot more. But what's the next race now?
Baku, another
Baku.
street circuit.
Another sister. So
Going to Azerbaijan.
yeah.
Let's
so,
hope we get either 2018 or 2017 Baku again. That's gonna be hilarious,
It's turned out to be a pretty solid circuit. I was pretty scared when they first put it on, and it had some good memories. So there'll definitely be more overtaking. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
Great. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. Hopefully have Greg. I'm sure he'll listen to it and come in all hot like I did with Tom's here with LeClerc for his boys.
Let's see if he still has to buy this jacket.
This jacket, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can follow us on most of the podcast sites. We're on Anchor, Spotify, the whole lot. Of course, this is going up on YouTube, so like and subscribe there if you like. Comment, give us suggestion, topic, criticism. Even if you're a fellow F1 fan and you want to be featured, it'd be great to have someone else aboard with different opinions. So follow us on there. We have our socials linked below as well. And as always, thanks for joining me and having this talk.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.